What to say, man? What to say? I have to be honest. That game today between Arsenal and Tottenham, boy. Do you know what? It makes it even worse. That's what I would say because the fact that Manchester United was 2-0 up against against Tottenham. Well, sorry, 1-0 up and allowed Tottenham to come back and get 2-1 up. And we've just seen Arsenal today absolutely destroy Tottenham at home. And to be honest with you, Tottenham were never really in the game, if I'm honest with you. I look at Richarlison's goal. That's probably arguably the goal of the game. You know, a great finish from Richarlison. But to be honest, Tottenham were never in the game, man. And you know what it was? When Tottenham lined up, I thought to myself, do you know what? I can kind of see what he's doing with his team there. You know, he's playing three at the back of Danso on the right, Romero, Van der Ven, the two wing backs in Jed Spence and Udoji. And me personally, I thought, you know what? That's not decent. That's quite a decent team to set out. But to think that the way they played and they just invited Tottenham onto them, and there was no sort of quality in the final third from Tottenham apart from Richarlison's goal. Then you look at the fact that Tottenham can't pass between the lines. Yeah, it was a shambles, man, and Tottenham thoroughly got beaten today, man. Arsenal were clearly the better side. I thought when Richarlison scored to make it 3-1, he was kind of hoping that as obviously someone that doesn't can't see Arsenal win the title this season for many reasons, but as someone watching the game, you probably thought, yeah, the fact that Richarlison scored, you could probably see Tottenham nicking another goal to set up a bit of a close game. But if I'm honest with you, man, Arsenal were the clear and deserved winners. Tottenham are a poor team, man. They are so poor. I think without Kulusevski and without Madison, there's no creativity whatsoever in their team. And they just rely, you'd probably say, on moments. So yeah, man, it weren't great. It weren't great. Big up to all the mods. Big up. Spurs never got going. VAR Arsenal get the points again. Yeah, big up, man. I think, to be honest with you, man, Arsenal deserved the win, man. Eberechi Eze getting the hat trick, and yeah, man, there's no doubting, man, that Arsenal, destroyed Tottenham in that game. I thought first 25 minutes, I was thinking Tottenham could nick a draw, but to think that Tottenham didn't have a shot on goal in that whole first half, that's unacceptable. If you've got a North London derby and you've got your fans travelling, for the derby, you got to give them something to cheer with, something to cheer. And to think they had not one shot in that first half is poor, man. It is poor. But again, man, it's one of them things where, what can we say, man? Arsenal extending their lead at the top. Man City getting beat yesterday. Chelsea getting the result yesterday. So yeah, man, Arsenal at this moment in time, they're in the ascendancy, man. And it's going to be a rough and tumble finish to the end, man. It definitely is. But I think Arsenal at the moment, man, Gabriel out injured. It was question marks to see how their defense would cope. And to be honest with you, man, 4-1. And the goal from Richarlison was a wonder goal, really. So yeah, man, they look confident. They looked compact. They got a threat up top as well. In the attack, should I say? Eze getting a hat trick, as I said. They actually look better. With Mourinho up top. Without playing with an actual striker. So again, when Gyökeres does come back, it's going to be very interesting to see what Arteta does, because Mourinho does drop into midfield, and outnumber the opposition in midfield. So I wonder if he sticks with that. We have to wait and see, man. Yeah, big up to all the mods, man. Big up to Joey Goals from Dublin. Dublin in the house. Big up, man. Big up. Have you heard that new trend? Doku is a black winger. Saka is a winger that is black. I haven't heard that, man, but that's a new one to me. I've not heard that. I've not heard that. It's crazy, that one. Where are you from, bro? I'm from the UK, man. I'm from UK, man. Yeah, from UK. But Chelsea is the real test. Tottenham were never going to do nothing. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think next week against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, this is where I think, if Arsenal can, if Arsenal was to go to Stamford Bridge and win, I think that's a massive statement of intent. But again, Chelsea, if Chelsea can win that game, they're gonna close the gap to Arsenal. I think on by 3 points. So again, they'll be looking at that game as a game that they can put pressure onto Arsenal. And to think that Chelsea are actually second now as well is mad. I mean, I don't think no one would have saw that. But yeah, listen, we're gonna get into that tomorrow. Obviously, guys, make sure you come and join us tomorrow. Myself, Fitz, and Jonas for our usual stream on Monday at 5:30. Obviously, Jonas has got to answer for his crimes. Liverpool getting beat yet again, and what a way to get beat. So yeah, make sure you guys join us at 5:30, and we're gonna go through a bit more of the weekend's football. But listen, what I want to get into, guys, and I do enjoy these chats, because I like to see people's different opinions on stuff like this. We did touch on the Jude Bellingham with Ian Wright before, and again, there's been more comments come out. Obviously, there's been people that have spoken about it as well. But obviously, I'm gonna have my say, and again, if you guys have your opinion, then be sure to put that um in the chat, and we're gonna get into this. Ronaldo or Messi for the 50th time that I've been asked on this channel. It's Messi all day long, not even close. So big up to Mohamed Ibrahim, but yeah, it's Lionel Messi all day long. By far the better player, man. So yeah, big up, man. And guys, come on, we've got 11 of you watching and 5 likes. Smash the like button, sub to the channel if you're new, and make sure you share the channel as well. So yeah, let's try and get this channel going in the right direction, as it has been. So again, Ian Wright, doing the most, coming out with more comments in regards to Jude Bellingham. And again, I did touch on it before in regards to what he said in terms of the media trying to create some sort of beef between Bellingham and fans, etc. Which again, I didn't agree with, because this is the same media that was hyping up Jude Bellingham when Bellingham went to Real Madrid, when he came into the England team. His face was everywhere. His name was everywhere. So when Ian Wright saying that, it's nothing for me that the media are trying to create some sort of beef. I think, as I know, as I knew from before anyway, and as many of you would know, the mask with Jude Bellingham is slipping. I think people are starting to see through him. It's taken them long, but people are starting to see through, the theatrics, the player, and the fact that you've got a manager in Thomas Tuchel now as well, that really and truly doesn't really rate him as much as a lot of fans do. And you know what it is? It's music to my ears, because I've touched on this so many times. For me, I've never seen a player as basic as Jude Bellingham that is hyped to the levels of world class. You have people saying he's world class, and he's nowhere near world class. Like, I'd argue that with anyone. He's nowhere near world class. I think when you're looking at Jude Bellingham playing in Spain, he has the physicality for a league that doesn't really have too much physicality. So if you're someone that is a powerful runner with the ball, you're 6 foot, you're quite physical, you should really stand out in the league, in that league, as a difference maker in a sense, because as I said, that league is more about being technical, which he's far from. So again, when we're hearing things like he's world class, again, I had a friend that tried to say to me that past tense as well, I'm mentioning. He had a cheat to say to me that Jude Bellingham has the potential to be better than Zidane. These are the kind of things that, we had to listen to. And these are the kind of things that were being said about Jude Bellingham. And for me, Jude Bellingham is nowhere near. Like, I'm not even going to mention Zidane really, because to even put Zidane's name and Jude Bellingham together is disrespectful in the first place. I look at the fact that he's playing in a number 10 position as well, which the amount of football that I've seen throughout my life, 30 plus years, I've never seen a number 10 as bad as that, really. The number 10s that I remember are the likes of Totti, Del Piero, Bergkamp, Riquelme, Ronaldinho, Zidane, Pablo Aimar, Eden Hazard, Neymar. There's more that I'm forgetting. Like, those are the kind of number 10s that I remember. And then we have to listen to people say that Jude Bellingham's a number 10. It just shows you that football's just in a weird place, man. When there's actual fans out there that think he's a number 10, just like they think Bruno Fernandes is a number 10 as well. So it's crazy, man. But listen, everyone's free to their opinion. Big up to United fan as well. I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Guys, I'm 2 weeks out from my fight as well. 6 of December. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling ready. I've actually dropped a bit of weight as well. So I actually went in there at 85 kg. I'm now 83 kg. So I've dropped 2 kg. And yeah, man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling very good. And I'm ready for this fight, man. So yeah, man, it's going to be good. Gav, in your opinion, which is more important for a footballer? Athleticism and physicality, or flair and technical proficiency? Great question. Great question. And for me, this is an easy one. It's an easy one because you're probably going to know where I'm going to go with this anyway. So for me, the most important is having flair and technical proficiency, because with physicality, you can work on your physicality. If you want to get stronger, go to the gym. If you want to get quicker, let's say, a lot of these things are genetics, but you can practice your sprinting. You can practice things like that. You can practice getting fitter. With technical ability, from a young age, you've either got it or you haven't, and there's players that can work at their technical ability as much as they want. There's some players that are just natural, that find things that come to them easier. Or there's players that, that have to work. And again, it's a good comparison with Cristiano Ronaldo, really. Ronaldo's talented, don't get me wrong, very, very talented. But the majority of Ronaldo's game is due to his hard work, you know what I mean? But every player, this is why when people ask me about Messi and Ronaldo, it's like Messi and Ronaldo both work hard. Don't think that Ronaldo's worked harder than Messi. It's just that what you're getting shown on, whether it's documentaries, whether it's the mindset of people that think Ronaldo's worked harder than Messi. No one knows what the work that Messi's put into his game, But what I would say is that they're both two talented players, but Messi's just a God-given talent in the sense of, it just comes easier to Messi in a sense, So as I said, man, technical proficiency and flair over physicality and athleticism any day. The game right now is an athlete's game. It is, and that's why the game's shit, because the game's just polluted with athletes, And the Premiership this season, and for a little while, to be fair, is poor. It is very poor. It's a poor level of ability that's going on, and I think where it tells you as well is that when you in the past, you'd be able to pick out, like, if someone was to say to me, who are the best players in the league, you could pick out about 4 or 5 players easily. Now, I can't honestly tell you who the best player in the league is. I can't actually tell you who the standout best player in the league is. In the past, it was Mo Salah, not for me. Mo Salah was getting put up there because of his numbers. I think now people will tell you Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland's a goal scorer, but as a pure footballer, not for me. And again, it just shows you, man, because I'm looking around the league, I like Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer, but again, Cole Palmer's got to do it for a bit longer for me. But if I'm looking around the league, there ain't too many top players, man, if I look at Chelsea, they've got Caicedo, they've got Cole Palmer. You know, potentially they might have an Esteval as well. Reece James for me. Reece James, Caicedo, and Cole Palmer for me. When I'm looking at three of the best players in the league, it's definitely them three for Chelsea. Esteval potentially. Then if you go to Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal have. I mean, Arsenal could argue they've got some of the best players in the league when you look at Eze, Saka, Gabriel Saliba, Declan Rice. These guys might be in the frame, But do I look at special players from that Arsenal team? I think the closest player to being special for Arsenal is probably Eze. And for me, Eze isn't world class, but he's a top Premier League player. And then you go to Man City again. Rodri is world class for me. Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal is world class for me. And then you got potential in like Turkey, and then you got Erling Haaland again is a world class goal scorer, But again, we're struggling. We're struggling. So this is why, man. For me, the game's turned into an athlete's game, but flair and technical proficiency any day of the week, man. Big up United fan says, good luck, bro. You're gonna get the KO. Yeah, listen, man. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's head guard, isn't it? So it's unlikely to be a KO if I'm honest. But it's about scoring points and just looking confident in there. And as I said, man, I've been sparring. Sparring's been going well. And yeah, man. Whoever I fight, I find out on the week of the fight. Who I'll be up against, and whoever I fight, man, it's gonna be a good fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm confident, and yeah, looking to get the W, man. No doubt, no doubt. So how much fighting disciplines do you know? So I used to do judo. I've done judo before football, funny enough, when I was younger. I've done a bit of karate as well. Bit of boxing. So yeah, I've done a bit of. Obviously, football's my main thing, from playing on a playing side. But now I do enjoy boxing, man. I love boxing for the training. The training's just like no other. If you like your fitness, if you like your working out, then boxing is the way to go, man. For me, I love boxing. So yeah, my third fight. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. Gav, who's your top 5 wingers in the modern game? Guys, I will get back onto Ian Wright's comments once I've gone through some of your comments and questions, because there's a few things I want to touch on. Who's your top 5 wingers in the modern game right now? So again, we need to change this questioning in terms of wingers, because big up to Mike anyway, because what it is, people need to realize, yeah, that you get in today's football, this is not the 4-4-2 era. This is a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 era. So when people say wingers, there's not really too many wingers. Like there's wide forwards, there's wingers, and there's number 10s from playing out wide. So again, who are my top players playing out wide? I think is a better argument to say in terms of saying who's the best wingers, because the ones that I'm going to pick are not really wingers, the kind of wingers that I remember anyway. So in terms of wide players playing now, for me, Yamal, easily, Michael Olise, those two in particular. Kvaratskhelia for me. I mean, it would have been Dembele, but Dembele is no longer a winger now. Dembele is more of a false 9 come winger. I'm saying about players that play there regularly. So I'm saying Yamal, Olise, Kvaratskhelia. I mean, you'd have to say Vinicius Jr., but Vinicius Jr. is not the same since Mbappe come. That's what I will say. And then it's difficult, man. It's difficult. I mean, in the Premier League, yeah, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. I think if we're saying current form, I mean, unless someone can find me someone else, but I mean, you're gonna have to probably put Doku in there. I mean, that sounds crazy because Doku's performance against Liverpool was unplayable. But Doku's someone for me that I'm not really rated for a little while. But I mean, it's difficult, man. It's difficult because, as I said, there ain't too many. I think Doku, in terms of wingers, he's the only kind of winger that I'm looking at right now. Um, and then we're struggling. Like that. This is where football's gone now. Um, so Doku's not a pure footballer. He's not. He's not a pure footballer. He's just at this moment in time, he's in very good form and he's a threat, but he's not a pure footballer. Nah, like that's just disrespectful to pure footballers. He's a very good he's a good player and he's on good form, but he's not a pure footballer. You know, not for me. Um, Big up to Rampage. Uh, Doué. I wouldn't say Doué. I mean, would you say Doué ahead of Kvaratskhelia? I wouldn't. Not right now. Barcola. Yeah, these guys will be in the frame, but I think for me it's easy to say Yamal and Elise are undisputed for me. Yamal, Elise, um, Kvaratskhelia, Vinicius Junior, and then after that you're kind of struggling. I'll be honest. You know, yeah, Barcola and Doué. I think are good players. Yeah, I do. But I mean, there was talk about them players being on Yamal's level, and they're not. You know what I mean? But for me, they're two good players. But you have to kind of see how they kind of progress going forwards. But from what I've seen of both of them, you know, they're not on a Yamal or an Elise's level. You know, Ahmad for me would be up there, but he's playing as a wing back. So until Ahmad goes into a different formation and either playing as a 10 or as a wide player, I can't really put him in this conversation because he's playing as a wing back right now. Um, uh, so I asked because a lot of wide players are not on the same level as your Hazards and Robin, etc. I agree. I agree. But we're talking about Hazard, Robin, Frank Ribery. We're talking about players, you know, that when they were playing, you know, these guys were regarded as world class, you know, and it's a crying shame to see what players that are out there right now, you know, because Robin was ridiculous, and there wasn't at any point Robin was regarded, you know, as one of the top five best players in the world. He wasn't that. He wasn't regarded as that. But in many people's eyes, you know, he was, in terms of his position, one of the best. He was, you know, the Hazards, the Robins, you know, as I said, the Frank Ribery's, like these guys were ridiculous. You know, let's not forget as well, Frank Ribery was a number 10 as well. You know, very similar to Eden Hazard. You know, number 10s playing out wide. You know, Robin was just an out and out winger. You know, yeah, I think Esteval potentially. Mason Greenwood's another one. Again, do you know what it is? I also forget about Mason Greenwood. Like Mason Greenwood for me is a striker. Now he's a right winger now, which is mad. But I think Mason Greenwood. You know what? I'll put Mason Greenwood in the category of Yamal and Elise. He's that level for me, Greenwood. And again, he kind of goes under the radar. You know, even for myself because you know I don't watch Liga all the time, so you kind of forget about the likes of Mason Greenwood. But Greenwood has to be up there. And for me, Greenwood's next move, you know, I'd love Greenwood to come up to Man United, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But his next move, don't be surprised if it's not a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, um, you know, a PSG, one of them teams. Like, don't be surprised if it's one of them teams. Um, Vinny and Yamal are going downhill. No way. No way. Yamal's not going downhill, that's for sure. Vinicius Junior, as I mentioned, Vinicius Junior is just suffering at the fact that Mbappe's there. You know, because, you know, I called this at the start, Mbappe was going to take away his shine because Mbappe's a bigger name, you know. So, yeah, he's not going downhill. But guys, let's get back onto what we were discussing before we get sidetracked. Yeah. So again, I've written down some notes from what Ian Wright has mentioned in regards to Jude Bellingham, and you know what makes me laugh with this whole thing about with Jude Bellingham, yeah, is that Ian Wright for me, when he says, the media or the country are not ready for a black superstar, yeah. Now, I kind of understand where he's coming from in a sense, yeah, because I have touched on this even before I had my platform. I've touched on stuff like this from before, yeah. The problem I have with what Ian Wright is saying is that he's using this stick with the wrong player because the media have been, hyping up this player from the get go, and for me, it's not a case of they're trying to make an example of Drew Benham. It's not that because Drew Benham, is one of the poster boys for England, and that's been with the media's help and a lot of these pundits. I've touched on this so many times. But for me, when he says he believes the critics are not ready for a black superstar, yeah. Now, just touching on what Ian Wright has said there, for me, what I would say is, and this goes back to, my club, Manchester United, and I've touched on this so many times. So when he's mentioning they're not ready for a black superstar, black players for me have always, had to work twice as hard, than the white player. We all know that, yeah, and it's one of them things for me where I've touched on this. Even if you go back to Manchester United, yeah, you look at the fact where Man United had Pogba in the first team, when they had Anthony Martial, when they had Marcus Rashford, you know, what's his name? There was someone else, even Greenwood as well. If you was to look at United's key players, if you say who are United's five key players, you would basically revert back to the black players because the majority of Man United's best players were the black players when they had Martial, Pogba, Rashford, and Greenwood as well. And I spoke about this time ago. Now the fan base for me, from what I saw in terms of the racial abuse on Pogba, on Martial, the coverage they were getting from the media, certain fans were just not having these players, and for me, it was it was very evident that they were trying to, force through other players at the expense of those players. You look at Marcus Rashford, and I spoke about this time ago, yeah? Marcus Rashford was never that level in the first place. But what happened is that because Rashford was a local guy, coming from Wivenshaw, um, so yeah, sing 120. I just seen your comment says, see this guy, he is doing a stream like he knows everything about the world of sport, but he doesn't know basic things about any sport. So ridiculous. Um, well, listen, you might know more about cricket than me, so it is what it is, man. But this is football. But anyway, but yeah, what I would say um, is that if you look at Rashford, yeah, Rashford was someone that he was thrust into the first team early. If you remember when it's actually meant to be Will Keane that actually was meant to be getting the start, but he got injured. Martial was out already as well, and then you look at Rashford getting the start in. I think it was in Europe. I don't know if it was Champions League. I think it was Champions League, and I think Rashford got a goal there. And then you look at the game against Arsenal where he got the two goals there as well. And then obviously that's how Rashford's career started with Manchester United, really. But then if you look at when you had Martial there, Pogba there, even like Jesse Lingard as well, these guys were made the scapegoats for Marcus Rashford. Now, when Rashford was given number 10, that was ridiculous when he was given number 10. When he was given the big contract and he was basically made the go-to guy because he come through the youth. Yeah. Now, what was happening when Man United weren't doing what they were supposed to do? All the criticism was aimed at Martial. He's lazy. He's got bad body language. This body language tag, does get labeled with a lot of black players as well. They're only good when the sun's out, but in the cold winter months, They don't want nothing to do with football. This is the kind of things that was going about. You know, when Martial and Pogba were getting the criticism, Rashford in a sense was getting away with it. Yeah. And that was only because he was from Manchester. So a lot of the fans looked at him as one of their own. Yeah. And again, these things are not really hard to work out because it's just common sense into seeing what actually goes on here. And then you look at the fact where as soon as Garnacho, they were trying to force through Garnacho, it was open season on, you know, criticizing Rashford because Martial had moved on, Pogba had moved on, and again you had someone that was a white player, Argentinian, even though he was shit, but they were just trying to force him through at any opportunity. And now you can see these fans can't stand Garnacho now, and now he's at Chelsea. But they were only trying to force through Garnacho because it was more of a case of trying to make an example of Rashford, and I mention this because when Lingard was moved on, when Greenwood went, when Martial went, when Pogba went, Rashford was out there on his own in a sense because he had no one really to lean on to in the sense of they will get the criticism and he'll get away with it. And I called this time ago. Then you look at the fact that the club tried to force through Bruno Fernandes at the expense of Pogba. I mean, I've never seen a player like Bruno Fernandes, that's nowhere near the level of Paul Pogba being given the freedom of Old Trafford. Pogba was never given that. They stereotyped Paul Pogba because of his physical attributes. They thought Paul Pogba was, this powerhouse midfielder that just runs all day. That isn't Pogba's game, And again, a lot of black players are labelled at having pace, having strength. These things are always looked at rather than looking at a black player's technical ability. This is a fact. Whenever you see, if I'll give you an example, if you look at Doku, what's the first thing they say about Doku? He's got pace. You know what I mean? Then you look at other players like, I don't know, who can we go to? I'm trying to think of someone now. I'm trying to think. So Doku's a prime example. He's got pace. That's the first thing they will say. There's other players as well. You guys might be able to help me out on that one. But yeah, listen. So these kind of things have always been around. But one thing I do disagree with what Ian Wright's saying about ready for a black superstar is I understand what he means on that, yeah. But Jude Bellingham's no superstar. That's what I will tell you. That's what I will tell you. Jude Bellingham's no superstar. Like, that's what I'm trying to say to you. I can understand where Ian Wright's coming from, but he's using it for the wrong player because Jude Bellingham's being forced into our faces. I touched on the fact when England played quite recently, Lee Dixon was trying his best to try and put Jude Bellingham on the platform, so we can't forget about him. Anything Bellingham was doing, he was overhyping it. And what's actually funny now that I think of this, yeah? There's a quote that Ian Wright said. He actually messaged Bellingham before the internationals to warn him of the media backlash in a sense. Now, the fact that Ian Wright played for Arsenal at the same time as Lee Dixon, it all makes sense now why Lee Dixon was giving Jude Bellingham good coverage. That's just come to my mind now because Lee Dixon and Ian Wright will still be in contact. Lee Dixon will be fully aware that Ian Wright's spoken to Jude Bellingham about the media backlash that is pending. So this is why he was this is why he was giving him good coverage in that game. It's all making sense now. But in terms of the black superstar, what he's mentioned, this is either going to work in favor or against, yeah, because now all you're going to get is other people just saying Ian Wright's trying to play the race card. He's trying too much. He's doing too much. And and on this point I have to agree because because it seems like to me you're trying to beg now that the country see a black superstar. And I think it's never good, man, to it's never good to yeah, it's never good to kind of force these things out, you know what I mean? And yeah, as I said, man, I think it's difficult because I do understand where he's coming from, you know, because the criticism that black players have received, you know, you mentioned Raheem Sterling, you know, he's a prime example of when I spoke about the Euros, when you know, he was instrumental in England getting that far. And then Harry Kane got a goal, I think against Sweden it might have been, and all you see was on the papers was Harry Kane's face. So again, these things do play into it, you know. And as I said, this black superstar that he's mentioned, he's using it for the wrong player. He's using it clearly for the wrong player. And yeah, it's crazy, man, because Drew Benham for me ain't no superstar. They're trying to force him to be a superstar, but yeah, someone like me, I'm never gonna see him as a superstar. I've seen too many quality players to look at someone like that as a superstar. So yeah, that's never gonna be accepted on this channel that he's a superstar. No way, you know. He also said he believes the scrutiny around Benham is racially motivated. Again, I disagree with that. I don't think it's racially motivated. As I said, this media, the majority of this country are behind Benham. They are. You know, there's a few people, and I look at people that don't rate Benham to a level, are people that really know football, that really love football. I would say, you know, because if you really love your football, then this is a player that you just don't really rate as highly as what everyone else does. Because again, I asked someone on this channel, you know, what do you rate about Jude Bellingham? The answer was effort. Like what? No, sorry. Tell me Jude Bellingham's ability. He mentioned effort. Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to say to you. It's what I'm trying to say to you. People that do that, yeah, it's a case of um there's not really much coming. There's not really much you can say about his game. It's effort, it's passion, it's the hard work, you know. And these things here, you know, the majority of players have that, really. But from a technical standpoint, what does Jude Benham do well? There isn't nothing he does well. You know, people think he's a good dribbler. He's not a good dribbler. Like I don't think people understand what a good dribbler is. Like Neymar's a good dribbler. Eden Hazard was a good dribbler. Yamal's a good dribbler. Messi's a good dribbler. These are what you call dribblers. Riyad Mahrez, you know, not Drew Benham. You know, as I said, he isn't composed on the ball. He's not skillful. You know, and where he plays, that they're trying to play him in the number 10, all those attributes you need to have, and he hasn't got one. So as I said, man, it's one of them things where, you know, there's no racial motivation in regards to Jude Bellingham. When it was Paul Pogba, when it was Anthony Martial, when it was Fred as well, Raheem Sterling, you know, a few others. For me, that was even when Jadon Sancho's another one, Bukayo Saka, Rashford when they missed the penalties for England in the Euros. Yeah, those things were were about race. They were getting racially abused. But this whole Jude Bellingham thing, it's not about racial motivation for him. As I said, Ian Wright he's onto something, even though like these things have been about for time, and it's quite scary that he's only speaking up about it now when it's been evident. But to use that for Jude Bellingham, is crazy. And again, Bellingham is one of the most misprofiled players. He's a box-to-box midfielder, number 8, not a 10. 100%. 100%. Like he's a 4-3-3, number 8, box-to-box midfielder. The fact that people actually think he's a number 10, it's a sad indictment of football right now. Because there's no one that's gonna let me believe that Jude Bellingham's number 10. I've never seen a number 10 as poor in possession as him. You know, and again, yeah, Ian Wright made the right point, but used the wrong example. Exactly what you're saying, Fitz. He's used the wrong person for that. You know, he has basis to say what he's saying, but just not for Jude Bellingham, because there's no part of me that thinks Jude Bellingham is getting racial abuse. The whole reason why Jude Bellingham gets hyped up in the first place is because his light skin has a sharp hairline. Like that is the truth. If Jude Bellingham's name was if Jude Bellingham if his name was Adebayo, yeah, I'm telling you this now, there's no backing for this player. You know, it's because him and his light skin, him being light skinned and him having a sharp hairline is why he gets the amount of PR that he does. Like it's obvious, you know. So Ian Wright saying it's racial motivation, it's not that, man. The media would love Jude Bellingham to be doing dirt at Real Madrid and for England. They would. I don't believe the media, and again, I can't stand the media, but I don't think the media have any sort of you know, any sort of, you know, hunger to kind of shoot down Jude Bellingham. I just think they've seen something in his game or in his personality to say that, yeah, he's someone that he's someone that maybe isn't as good or doesn't have doesn't have the right attitude that they thought, you know. I'll be honest, I never hear white people talk about race. If I did, I would let it slide. Whites don't talk about race. Yeah, but again, if we're talking about in regards to football, yeah, then white players don't get racial abuse, or white players are more or less held in good regard. So I don't really know where you're going with this, really, you know. Listen, I'm here for the conversation, man, but when you're saying you never heard white players talk about race, again, it's because, you know, as I said, the coverage that white players get is positive in comparison to some black players. It is. It's always been like that. You know, it's always been like that. And Anthony Martial was a prime example. You know, the media, you know, the media had the cheek to try and pinpoint his attitude, saying he never smiles. He's always sulking. Like, he's not here to smile. He's here to play football. You know, but they try to link this with bad attitude and stuff like that, without actually knowing the player himself. So again, these things are prevalent in the game. You know, we don't spice our food, we don't dance. Shit, I don't know what that has anything to do with, but yeah, big up Lumi. Yeah, it's time to let it go, mate. But the thing is, there's nothing to let go. As I said, and it's quite clear you're not actually watching the channel properly, because I'm actually saying what Ian Wright is actually saying is nonsense. So again, you're coming on there just to put your 2 pence in. But at the end of the day, you're not actually listening to what I'm saying. I don't actually agree with Ian Wright. That's the funny thing. I don't agree with what Ian Wright's saying. You know, he has basis to what he's saying, but he's using it for the wrong player. So when it comes to Ian Wright saying, when it comes to Ian Wright talking about Jude Bellingham getting the racial abuse, like, it's not true. Yeah, listen, we'll get back onto your comments in a bit, Lumi. Don't worry. So what else did Ian Wright say? Yeah, that's the one. So, and this is something, yeah, that I found ridiculous, really, yeah. So Ian Wright said the reception of Bellingham and Pogba with N'Golo Kante, who everyone loves. Now, this is something that I touched on years ago, yeah. And it's like, with N'Golo Kante, yeah, he's someone that doesn't ruffle any feathers. You know, he's someone that will get loved by the media in his country, but it's more because they feel sorry for him, yeah. And as we know, as a black player, if you're a black player that's confident, you know, you're assured, you know yourself, you know, the media are waiting to they're waiting for you to say something out of line, you know, or to, you know, be caught slipping in a sense. Like, that's a fact. So, but when Ian Wright is saying about Bellingham and using Pogba, the very fact that he's using Pogba in the same sentence as Bellingham is a disrespect in the first place. Because if we're talking about abilities, yeah, Jude Bellingham has nowhere near the ability of Paul Pogba. That's the first thing, yeah. Jude Bellingham has received nowhere near the racial abuse and the criticism that Paul Pogba has received. Yeah. And then when you're mentioning N'Golo Kante, there's a reason why Kante was loved by this country, because Kante didn't ruffle any feathers. They actually felt sorry for Kante the way it seemed. There was a story going around that Kante used to drive a Mini Cooper or something like that, something mad like that, as if we need to really know that. Yeah. But again, all these things play into, you know, not making the next person uncomfortable. And Kante did that very well. He hardly spoke. Even when he did speak, there wasn't really too much assurance there. And these things play into it. The media, from what I saw, felt sorry for N'Golo Kante. They felt sorry for him. And for me, what I would say is to use Bellingham in a comparison of Kante is poor, because, as I said, Kante was the ideal kind of player that the media loved to back. I guarantee you now, if Kante started, saying things out of line, or if he started, I don't know, showing a bit of an arrogance or whatever to his game, you see how quickly they'll flip it up on Kante. But because Kante is, a runner in a sense, he's a hard worker, he's quiet, doesn't drive a flashy car, doesn't really talk with assurance, with a confidence. Of course, the media are gonna love him because he's not a threat. And this isn't just about football. This is just life as well. When you're a threat to the next person, they'll want to try and shut you down. They want to try and put you in your place in a sense. But really and truly, it's just jealousy. That's what it comes down to. It's just jealousy. But yeah, to mention Pogba and Jude Bellingham in the same sentence is just ridiculous. And again, Jude Bellingham is getting nowhere near the criticism of Paul Pogba. So I just don't understand what Ian Wright's saying there with I just don't understand what Ian Wright is saying there with the Jude Bellingham hate and the Paul Pogba. Like he's way off for me. He's way off. Yeah, he's way off. So let's go through some of your comments. Gav, it's time to admit we win the league. No, I ain't gonna admit anything. Listen, you guys won the game today. Tottenham was shocking. Like I mean, I've never seen. I mean, when Tottenham had not one shot in that first half, you just knew what was going to happen. I thought first 21 minutes, they set up quite well. In my opinion, I thought the three at the back, and the two wing backs, I could see why he went with that. But to think that they didn't pose any sort of threat going forwards, you have to look at now and think, he made the wrong decision. If they would have at least had a threat, in attack, you'd have probably said, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, there was nothing, man. There was absolutely nothing from Tottenham. And listen, they deserved it. I have to give you your flowers, Gav. You said all along Eze has to play central. But listen, man, Eze's a 10. Eze's a 10. To think that England, play Eze from the left and Bellingham in the 10 is ridiculous. Eze's a 10. That is what you call a number 10. And Eze is someone that I wanted United to sign this summer. And again, he's a top player, man. He's one of the best players in the league, Eze. And that hat-trick, yeah, like I'm not surprised. He's a top player, man. He's a very, very, very good player. And Arsenal now have a problem because you can't, when Odegaard is back fit, is Arteta going to just shoehorn Odegaard into this team? Because it cannot be at the expense of Eze. So again, these are the questions that these are the questions that Arteta is going to have to answer, because his captain now really has to settle for a place on the bench, because there's no way that Odegaard can come into the team and then Eze gets pushed out to the left-hand side. So Eze's a top player, man. He is. And yeah, that hat-trick today, and again, three good goals. I think the first one had a little deflection on there, but he's Was it his second one? His second one was a very good goal off his left foot. Very good goal. Big up to Lumi Rain as well. So Arsenal are the best team in the world. Well, listen, you guys have got Bayern Munich. Is it Tuesday? I think you got Bayern Munich on Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday. So listen, if you win that game, then I'll take it a bit more seriously. But let's just calm down, man. Arsenal deserve the win. They're ahead in the league at the moment. But I remind you, there is still a long way to go. I mean, did I expect Tottenham to beat Arsenal today? I didn't. I think the best that Tottenham could have got was a draw. But they were never going to beat Tottenham beat Arsenal because I watched the Man United and Tottenham game. And the fact that Man United drew with Tottenham, it just shows you how shit United are. And I think they're shit because of the manager. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Arsenal deserve that win today, man. No doubt. And they've got Chelsea next game. And I'll tell you now, if they was to beat Chelsea, this is when I'd have to say I'm starting to take Arsenal seriously now. I'm not taking them seriously yet because they haven't won a big game this season yet. They haven't. They haven't beaten Liverpool. They haven't beaten Man City. And now they got Bayern Munich Champions League. Big game. So can they win a big game? And if they beat Chelsea and Bayern Munich, in his next two games, then I'll start taking Arsenal seriously. I will. But yeah, man, they deserve the win today, no doubt. So players like Kante will never be criticised because of their down-to-earth personality, but players like Pogba will get criticism because of their confidence being perceived as arrogance. Big up to Mike, man. 100% Mike. Couldn't have said it any better myself. And that is what it is. That is exactly what it is. As a black player, really, you're not allowed to be confident because somewhere along the line, you are going to try and get shut down. I've dealt with this, in my life before. Like, I've dealt with this before. If you're someone that is assured and you know yourself, even if you look at workplaces, there's been workplaces that I've been to and I know myself, innit? And because I'm a confident person, and, I like to portray myself in a certain way, you'll find that very quickly, certain workplaces will they'll try and alienate you or try and force you out the company. I'm telling you now, these things are prevalent. So with someone like N'Golo Kante, he'll always be loved for as long as he lives, especially amongst Premier League fans or the media, because it's more of a case where he doesn't ruffle any feathers, and that's the truth. Pogba, he's confident, he dances, different colours in his hair, etc. These things there aren't the norm to the media. So rather than them understand it or want to understand it, they'll just try and shut it down, or just try and say he's got to focus more on his football. What's that stupid comment that someone come out with? He needs to spend less time reading the books and more time on his football or something like that. Like it's ignorance like that, you know what I mean? But as I said, man, yeah. N'Golo Kante is the total opposite, to a Paul Pogba, And as I said, Ian Wright mentioning Jude Bellingham with Pogba and Kante, it's a totally different thing. Totally different, For a start, both of Pogba and Kante are French, yeah. One's flamboyant and confident. The other's just very, very quiet and in their eyes humble. I mean, even the humbleness they send about with N'Golo Kante. Why do you think Pogba's not humble? You know what I mean? Kante's only perceived as humble because he's quiet. But Pogba's humble, you know what I mean? Like, again, it's just a narrative that people are trying to run with, for me. But, yeah. And then the last one, he said, the criticism on Bellingham is due to discomfort from an outspoken and confident black player. Again, the main thing with Ian Wright, yeah, is that Ian Wright is on the right track with what he's saying for me, but he's just using the wrong player. I've said, and again, Fitz has said this, I've said this. He's just using totally the wrong player for this, but he has basis to what he's saying. But to use Jude Bellingham as the marker is poor, because there's nothing about Jude Bellingham that he's being criticised because it's racial. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. He's being criticised because people are starting to realise that A, he's not as good as they thought he was, and B, his attitude is, you know what I mean? His attitude is a concern. And the fact that Thomas Tuchel, as I said, has more or less put Benham in his place, because if you look at what Tuchel's done, yeah, which I rate as well, he didn't pick him for the last internationals, yeah. Then when he did call him up, he didn't start him in the first game against Serbia. Morgan Rogers started that. Then Bellingham came on, and then the game against Albania, Bellingham started and come off. Now, for me, I think that's fair, because you're giving Morgan Rogers and Bellingham the same sort of game time, in a sense. If in fact, Bellingham actually got slightly more game time than Rogers, because Bellingham come on earlier than what Rogers did against Albania. The problem is that Jude Bellingham has it in his head, from the media, from fans, from the pundits. And again, the pundits do more harm than anything, because they're the ones that are enabling this nonsense. Because Bellingham now thinks that he's Harry Kane, that he can't be taken off, regardless of how he plays. That is what's happened now, you know, because he's been built up to a level. The fact that he's at Real Madrid, the fact that he plays for them, he now feels on cloud nine, like he can't do no wrong, you know. And I blame the media, because for a player of that level to be thinking he's indispensable is laughable. It's laughable. And as I said, I'd rate Thomas Tuchel if he just leaves him at the squad altogether. I don't think it happens because of the media backlash, you know. But if I'd rate Thomas Tuchel if he leaves him out, or if anything, he takes him, but he's not first choice. Because I tell you this now, if Jude Bellingham somehow is first choice for England in the World Cup, don't be surprised if England start struggling. Don't be surprised. You've heard it here first, you know. Let's move on to some of the questions. Tottenham have been poor going forward. Yeah, they were shocking today, man. It was a poor. The thing is, I was looking forward to this game all day, yeah? North London derby. And then when you see Arsenal 2-0 up in the first half, it's just, it's annoying, because you can't really enjoy the game, because the game was done. You know, he went to three at the back, Thomas Frank. But Tottenham were never in the game. That's the problem. They were never in the game. You know, the only bit of magic came from Richarlison's goal. But they didn't create anything. Even the subs, you know, didn't really make that much of a difference. You know, I thought Kudus was... I'm a massive fan of Kudus. I think Kudus is very good. But he was pretty poor today. Again, Xavi Simons didn't really have an impact when he came on. You know, Kola Mawani didn't have an impact. Yeah, it wasn't great, man. And again, he's going to be under pressure, Thomas Frank. But for me, it makes it even worse that Man United end up drawing. You know, that's what I look at. It's crazy, man. Yeah, big up, Lumi, man. Big up, man. I thought I'd do something a bit different for you guys today with the Christmas tree. Obviously, Christmas spirit and all that nonsense. Nah, I'm joking. Yeah, Christmas spirit and all that. But yeah, no, I just thought I'd just just change it up a bit today. But big up, man. Big up, appreciate it. Guys, come on, we got 14 likes. Let's make sure we're smashing the like, and make sure we're subbing to the channel if we're new in here as well. Glory, Man United. Yep, United playing tomorrow against Everton, Old Trafford. Was it 8 p.m. kickoff? I think it might be. Man United in 10th now. And you know what's crazy about this league, yeah? As I said before, if Everton manage to beat United tomorrow, they go level on points with United. And Everton, I believe right now, are 13th, I think. So it just shows you that this league table is crazy. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. So I'll pray for you, mate. Whenever there's an international game, I guess all those flags are being waved by racists. Engage your brain, mate. Now, listen, I disagree with that. You know, for me, when I see England flags, for me, that's nothing to do with racism for me. You know, obviously other people have difference of opinion, but not for me. What I would say is, if you was to go to any other country, I'm pretty sure they'll have their flags out. So I don't really have a problem with the England flags. You're in England, so there should be flags really. Just like if you went to, I don't know, Jamaica or to Brazil or to Holland, wherever, they'll have their flags out. So the flag thing for me don't make a difference, you know. But in terms of what people say, there's certain people that stand behind that flag, and what do they stand for? Again, it's just people for you, innit? But for me, the flags are not a problem for me. I don't agree with people that think the flags are a problem or whatever. You know, you're in that country, you should be seeing their flags. It's as simple as that. You know. There's a clear media bias against players of colour. Not everyone, but most players. Foden has been crap for a while, but people still glaze him like crazy. Big up, Mike. And Mike, listen, you're spot on because again, you have to realize what's really going on here. Yeah, you know, when England big up a player that they feel will be the player that's going to take them to the World Cup or to the Euros, you know, there's always narratives that are set. You know, you look at from it's been going on for years. You know, you had it with Alan Shearer, you had it with Owen, Rooney, Barkley, Wilshere, Kane. What's his name? Bellingham, Foden. These guys are always tasked with being the guy that's going to take England to winning the World Cup or the Euros. Yeah. And Phil Foden's a prime example. And I actually like Phil Foden as a player. I think as a technician, Phil Foden is a very good player. He's a kind of player that I like to watch play because he's technical. But there's no denying that Phil Foden has been poor. Like I think this season he's been good, but I think last season, you know, people will say that there's issues going on. Again, that can be seen as a sign of an excuse because again, would a black player get given these excuses? I don't think so. But again, Phil Foden is a prime example of what we're talking about. You know, there's just certain players that will keep getting given leeway, and he's one of them. Because that game yesterday against Newcastle, and again we're gonna touch on to it tomorrow with Jonas and with Fitz anyway. But that game against Newcastle yesterday, he was shocking. He was poor, you know. And again, people are not really gonna chat about it because it's Phil Foden, you know. But I can guarantee you, if it was a certain other player, you know, they wouldn't shut up about it. But again, Foden's a prime example for this. You know, he has been to think that Cole Palmer has surpassed him, you know, and there's not really much talk about that either. You know, I'm pretty sure if it was Cole Palmer surpassing, I don't know if it was, let's say it was a Kobe Minu, for instance, at Man City, and Cole Palmer went to Chelsea and surpassed him. I'm pretty sure the media will talk about that. But because it's Foden, they want to still try and keep Foden relevant, you know. And again, people think that Foden's going to the World Cup. Like they're confident that Foden goes to the World Cup. I don't think Foden's going to the World Cup. I'll be very surprised if he does because I'm looking at the fact that Thomas Tuchel has said, you know, he sees Foden as a false nine. If he sees Foden as a false nine, that's telling me he's not going. Because why would you take one striker in Harry Kane and then take a false nine in Phil Foden and then leave out an Ivan Toney, an Ollie Watkins, a Danny Welbeck, you know, you got other names like a Solanke or Callum Wilson, whoever. Why would you leave them out to take Foden to play at false nine, knowing that Foden ain't really going to play because Harry Kane's going to play? So again, people need to read between the lines. Like, people think that Foden's going. I don't think Foden goes because the number 10 position, he's not going to be playing there because there's too many options there and too many people that you would have to believe are ahead of him in the pecking order. Again, where he's been playing for Man City, yeah, he's been playing centrally, you know, as one of the three. He's not going to play there. So I just don't understand why you would take him as a false nine, knowing that your captain, Harry Kane, is going to play every game. And even the main strikers, even the other strikers that are going, are not really going to get game time. So again, I think that's Thomas Tuchel. I could be wrong, but I think that's Thomas Tuchel just telling people that, yeah, Foden really's got to do a lot to get into this squad. And again, would I take Foden? I would, because I like footballers. But I just don't see Foden getting into this squad because he's not going to play on the right because you've got Saka, you've got Cole Palmer, you've got Jared Bowen, you've got even Madueke as well. They all play out on the right. Again, number 10 we've mentioned, central midfield, he's not going to play there because they're going to take 4, which is Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson for sure. And then you're looking at Jordan Henderson for his experience. And then you've got, I think Walton at this moment in time is leading for the last position. And that might be up against Alex Scott from Bournemouth, Cobby, if he gets a loan move or whatever happens to him at United, and maybe a few other guys that are not spoken about. So I just don't see Foden going, man. That's the truth. BM, what are your thoughts on Tommy Robinson? That's crazy you say that, because, yeah, this might actually shock people, but, I actually watch a lot of Tommy Robinson, the negativity around him is not true for me, but, yeah, man, it's crazy. Racism was around in the 90s. It doesn't exist in football now. I think what it is, it's not as prevalent now, but there is undertones. There is some sort of racism in football still. There is, again, I don't go to the ground, so I don't really see it, obviously. But I can imagine that there's still players that do get racial abuse. Like, I don't think racism's ever going to go away in football. I don't, because you're dealing with a lot of fans that half of them are drunk anyway, don't even know what they're saying. And people just have their kind of stances on football and, and have their views. Like, I don't understand racism really, but again, I mean, how are you going to get out of football? I mean, I said this time ago, the only way you kind of eradicate racism from football is if all the black players was to make a stand and all just walk off the pitch. So let's say there was 3 p.m. kickoffs and all the black players just walked off. Like, that's what you call making a stand. But can I see that happening? I can't. And again, just going back to what Ian Wright has said about the racism with Jude Bellingham, I reiterate, I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that. I don't think there's nothing to do with racism on Jude Bellingham. It's not. Gav, I really don't understand racism. Everyone is equal in my eyes. Yeah, but that's your eyes, Lumi. That's not the general person. Like, and again, the thing is, you're never gonna be able to understand it because there's people out there that are just generally racist. You know what I mean? It's just they're just generally racist. Whether they've had an interaction with a black person before, who knows? Who knows? Like, there's always something that's underlying. You never know. It could be a case where the wife or whoever or the girlfriend is taking a liking to a black man. We just don't know. But you're never gonna understand racism because again, I get people on here trying to racial abuse for no reason because I have a difference of opinion. And again, I just laugh because it says more about them than anything. I don't understand racism, but if you're gonna just sit here and just try and work out racism, then yeah, you're gonna be trying to work it out forever because unfortunately there's just people out there that are just racist, and you can't really control that, man. So guys, look at this league table. So Arsenal top on 29 points, Chelsea second on 23, City on 22, Villa. Look at Aston Villa. Aston Villa, yeah, were in the bottom half. I think they were in the bottom 3. They're now 4th. That just shows you how quick things can change, If you just put together, a sequence of 2 or 3 wins in a row, you're gonna shoot up that table. And look at Villa. Villa are 8 points off of Arsenal, and they've still got to play Arsenal twice. I'm telling you now, man. And Villa got Arsenal coming up actually. So I'm telling you, like this league table, 12 games in, like it's crazy. People were calling for Unai Emery to get sacked. He now has them 1 point behind Man City, 8 points behind Arsenal. That just shows you, yeah, what a top manager Unai Emery is and how tight this league is. Like, there's nothing to buy into. If Man United was to win tomorrow, yeah, they would shoot up to. So if United win tomorrow, they go joint fourth with Aston Villa. Like, that just shows you, and they're 10th right now. That just shows you, man, that this league table is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I think from Villa in fourth, 21 points, even to the bottom half. Let's see. So yeah, Villa on 21. I think, is it 17 or 16 points it might be? Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Guys, come on, let's smash the like button. 17 likes. Let's at least hit 20 likes. And make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in there as well. So Carl Smith says, talk about Liverpool shit show. Yeah, tomorrow, man, tomorrow. So we're going to be live tomorrow at 5:30 with myself, Fitz, and Jonas. Obviously, Jonas is a Liverpool fan. So we're gonna be giving him some hell tomorrow, man, because, listen, this is unacceptable from what I'm seeing of defending champions. It's unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. You know, they got absolutely blasted yesterday by Nottingham Forest. But don't worry, man. We are going to get onto them tomorrow. You know, the shades might be back out again tomorrow. Actually, no, I'm not putting them actually because United are playing tomorrow, so I don't want to be jinxing anything. But yeah, listen. Pedri clear of Jude. Of course he is. Of course he is. But again, like, if you just know your football, you'll know Pedri's clear of Jude Bellingham. You know, like, it's not even a debate. Like, he's so far clear of him. You know what I mean? What does Jude Bellingham do better than Pedri from a footballing standpoint? There ain't one thing. So, yeah, man, that's not even a controversial take, man. He's well clear of him. Yeah, big up Carl, man. Big up. Gav, do you think Slot makes it to Christmas? I still think he stays. FSG aren't known for sacking managers like that. You know what I would say, yeah? I think it's crazy, yeah, because Liverpool's aims this season would have been to defend their title, yeah? What I would say is that right now they're in a top 4 race as early as this because, you know, I know it's only 12 games in, but it's going to take some doing from them. I mean, it's 18 points, Arsenal on 29. You know, you can claw that back, but the way they're playing, man, is a concern. But what I would say, if it comes to a point where they feel like the top 4 is slipping out of their grasp, they might make the change. But I think right now, he's going to get a few more games. I think Champions League in midweek is massive. I mean, if they was to lose in midweek Champions League, then, boy, I don't know what to say. I'm not even sure who they're playing. But I'd say right now that he's actually safe at the moment. But it's going to come to a point where, you know, if it looks like they're not going to get the Champions League or it's going to take too much to get Champions League, then they might actually look at that. Yeah. So at the moment, I think he's safe, yeah. What, Klopp going back to Liverpool? No way. No way. Klopp going back to Liverpool. No, I'm not believing that. You know what? I'll tell you one thing, yeah. I would actually enjoy it, man, if Klopp did go back there. Funny enough. But I can't see it. Hey, Gav, it's me, Jay. Been a while. Yeah, big up to Jay, man. Jay, if you're still in the chat, man, let us know what you thought of that Tottenham performance today. Because I just don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect Tottenham to beat them, really. I mean, having watched them against United. but I didn't think they'll get battered the way they did it 4-1 in the derby. Um, the funny thing is, the way he set up with the three at the back and the two wing backs in Udogie and Spence, I thought, do you know what? I can see Tottenham doing well here because, you know, you got the three at the back of Van der Ven, Danso, and what's his name? Romero. And the wing backs, I thought quite solid, you know. Kudus in attack with Richarlison, you know, and Odebear with his pace, and then Paulinho and Bentancur. And I think, you know what it is, yeah? That midfield two there's a problem of Bentancur and Paulinho. You know they're missing. They're missing Basuma. They're missing Basuma because Basuma can take the ball from deep, travel with the ball, and he can pass. You've got two players in Bentancur and João Paulinho. They're more like midfield destroyers for me. But with Basuma's someone that can take the ball under pressure, you know. And if you look at the way that Tottenham are passing between the lines, there was no quality there whatsoever. You know, if you've got a number 10 in there, the number 10 needs the ball quick. And when you've got Paulinho and you've got Bentancur in behind that, like, it's not great. So yeah, the way he set up, man, was, yeah, it was encouraging from what I saw, but it was only going to be encouraging if the attack, you know, had chances were creating chances, or if they scored. But the fact they had not one shot in that first half is shocking, man. It's absolutely shocking. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, if you're a Tottenham fan watching that today, man, you must be pissed because that weren't good. I mean, the only highlight really was Richarlison's goal. I mean, defensively, they were all over the place, man. Playing a low block, you know, and just the amount of gaps from midfield to defense didn't make any sense. Like, you're playing a low block. The whole point of having a low block is so there ain't no gaps. But there was gaps all over the place, and Eze was just exploiting that time after time. So, yeah, man, crazy. Can't believe they let Diaz leave. Only true baller after Mane and Firmino. Well, listen. There was obviously something behind that. You know, Diaz was angling for a move, or Slot just wanted to go in a different way. But I'll keep saying this, you know, and I said this from the very, very start. Why he didn't change to a three at the back, I will never know. You know, I've been saying this for time. Liverpool should be playing a three at the back. I guarantee you this now. If they were playing a three at the back, they wouldn't be where they are now in the bottom half. Guarantee you. Guarantee they wouldn't be in the bottom half if they were playing three at the back. Gav, I honestly think Man United should be all over Anderson in the summer. He was literally bossing the midfield against Liverpool. Him and Baleba would be a massive statement of intent. Bro, 100%, man. 100%. Listen, I want Baleba. Baleba, for me, should be made the first. The reason I want Baleba is because he's left-footed. That's the reason, for the balance in midfield. So he should be made, for me, number one target. You know, I know people were saying he hasn't been great, etc. But the fact that he's left-footed is crucial for the balance of the midfield. Elliot Anderson, for me, I look at him as a bonus signing, really, because he's going to have all the top teams in the league after him. And if Man United happen to get him as well as Baleba, then we're laughing. So if Man United can get both of them, then I'll start saying to you right now, we're back. Well, I'll say we're back, but it has to be without this manager because I just don't rate this manager. But for me, Baleba needs to be the first choice. And if we can get Anderson as well, then yeah, man, I'm all over it because he's a very good player, man. As I said, I watched Anderson when he was at Newcastle, when he was coming in and out of the team. Then when he went to Forest, but where I really saw where Anderson was good was that under-21 European Championships where England won it. And he was the best midfielder in that tournament. He was bossing every game. And he got into the team of tournament as well. So again, but he's gonna have Liverpool, he's gonna have Chelsea. I don't think Man City. I think Man City might look at a Wharton probably. But he'll have the big teams in this league after him. You know, and if Man United can get him and Baleba together, then yeah, man, happy days. I'll tell you that for free because he is good. But Baleba for me is number one, man, purely because he's left-footed. And I just know, I can just see what Baleba is going to bring to this team. Because I'm looking at Baleba as Camavinga. Because I wanted Camavinga. I wanted Camavinga for time. And if we can't get Camavinga, just go and get me Baleba. Because I'm telling you now, Baleba will transform this midfield. I know he's not been great, but I believe Baleba will transform this midfield. And then if we can go and get Elliot Anderson, then yeah. But then again, this is what's going to happen to Kobe. You know, this is where Kobe's got a... But again, Kobe on this manager is not going to play. So there's so many things that need to happen with this team, man, with this club. Get rid of the manager and get Baleba and Anderson. And let Kobe, you know, battle it out. But at least Kobe will be battling it out under a different manager that wants to play him, that rates him in a system where he can get better from him as well. Are you in Birmingham? I'm not. I'm not in Birmingham, man. Nowhere near it. Big up though. So Foden has a good shot to make it. Doesn't matter though, because England is always bad at the World Cup and stands no chance. Yeah, listen, I don't think Foden goes to the World Cup. And that isn't because he's not good enough. It's because the amount of options that England have to choose from. You know, because if you look at the players that are definitely going to go, if they're fit. So Bukayo Saka's definitely going to go. He is. At this moment in time, Eze's going to go. Then you've got Morgan Rogers. You know, he got 2 today for Aston Villa. He's in contention to go, even starting. You think of the two wide players that he's been using, Rashford and Anthony Gordon. If they're both fit, you'd have to think they both go as well. So that's already what? 2, 3 in Rodgers, 4 in Eze, 5 in Saka. That's already 5 attackers, yeah? And that's not even mentioning Cole Palmer. If he gets back fit, he definitely goes. That'll be 6. I think Jarrod Bowen goes because he's a good squad option, 7. And then you got Madueke, who was in the squad before he got injured. And then you've got the likes of Gibbs White. So I'm telling you this now, yeah? Foden is not a shoe-in to go. And the key for me is the fact that Thomas Tuchel has said he sees him as a false 9. That should tell everyone that, you know, is he going to go? You know? Yeah, big up to Ireland, man. Troy Parrott and that. Yeah, big up, man. Troy Parrott, man. 5 goals in 2 games. Robbie Keane's country. Yeah, man. Big up Robbie Keane, man. I remember doing some kick-ups with Robbie Keane when I was back at Tottenham, man. When I played for the older age group. Yeah, nice guy, man. Robbie Keane. Honestly, Foden is poor for England. He's been for a while, even though he's a good player. The reason Foden's poor for England is because international football is about individual. It's about the individual. Whereas Foden's a system player. He's a system player at Man City. So if the system's not the same at Man City as it is for England, Foden won't really shine. This is why, for me, Cole Palmer doesn't really need a system. He's just a very, very good player. You know, and this is why for me, Cole Palmer's ahead of Foden, because Foden relies on a system, Cole Palmer doesn't really. You know, Cole Palmer is the system. You know, and as I said, in international football, like, you need players that are good individually. And unfortunately, I just think with Foden, I just don't see him doing too much. And again, I like him as a football player, but I think international football, I'll go as far and say, yeah, international football, I don't see how Foden regularly gets a place in the lineup. And I think There's no one that would have thought that when Foden first burst onto the scene for City, you know. But I think as it stands right now, he doesn't naturally have a starting place for England. I think if you look at England's team right now, who are the players that naturally start for England? Jordan Pickford in goal. I would say Reece James, if he's been fit. Reece James. Um, Declan Rice, you would say, and Harry Kane. I think those four there are four players, that really start under Thomas Tuchel if he's looking at his best team. You know, Foden for me, I think, as I say, is a jack of all trades, and it's one of them things where he doesn't confidently start anywhere for England. And who would have thought that? Crazy. So big up to Jay Goose says, who do you think Man United should go for in a January transfer window? Boy, well, it depends if you're meaning realistic or not. Again, there's been talk about Baleba, there's been talk about Anderson. I mean, Anderson's going to cost a lot of money as well. So, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. I honestly can't tell you because this African Cup of Nations that's coming up is going to hurt United because they're losing two of their best attackers in Ahmad and Mbuemo. And if you think of losing those two and this manager is hell-bent on this system, who does he bring in to play there? So you'd have to believe United go out in the market and they would have to go and get a right 10 and a wing-back based on losing Ahmad and Mbuemo because there's no natural replacements for them. You see what I mean? So I don't really know, man. I don't really know. As I said, yeah, I can't really say what players I would like and that because I just don't rate this system, this 3-4-2-1. I don't rate it. So when I don't rate this system, I can't really identify players for this manager because I want to see this manager gone and Man United just go back to the 4-2. Man United go to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, and then you can start identifying, better quality in those positions. I look at Man United's squad right now of players, and the squad of players is good. Like, it's been good it's been the best it has been for a while. But this manager is just not going to take us where we need to go. So, yeah. I don't really know what's going to happen. But what I do want is that midfield to be sorted out, move on from Bruno Fernandes, bring a Baleba in, bring a Anderson in, and, get Kobe back into this team. Casemiro, I would love Casemiro to sign another, to stay on for his experience. But we just don't know, man. We just don't know. I don't know what Ineos have in store for this manager because Man United find themselves in 10th right now. And tomorrow's game, if they don't win, they'll be in the bottom half. So, and then they've got next game after, I think might be West Ham probably. And again, West Ham last 3 games were unbeaten. So I just don't know what's in store for this manager under Ineos because the fact that Man United last 2 games against Forest and Tottenham has turned out the way it has. I mean, as a Man United fan, can you be confident? Because I ain't, I'll be honest. Yeah, big up Lumi. Yeah, Parrott was meant to be the next Kane. He was. But yeah, 5 goals in his last 2 games is mad. Yeah, you know what? Evan Ferguson didn't even play. He was injured. He actually scored for Roma tonight. Actually, funny enough. Gav, this league is wide open. 5 or 10 game winning streak. You are a title contender. I agree, man. I agree. Only 12 games in as well, so. Yeah, listen, Villa are doing well, man. They are. Yeah, big up, man. Make sure you're coming through tomorrow, Burn, man. Yeah. Live at 5:30 tomorrow. Yeah, bro, listen. Jonas is going to be... We're going to put some pressure onto Jonas, man. Don't worry about that, man. Just bring your shades. You know, bring your shades and just keep calm, man, because I want to see what he's got to say. Because 3-0 to Nottingham Forest, and now you're in the bottom half. Yeah, madness. So yeah, bro, bring your shades, man, because he's got to answer some serious questions. Some serious questions tomorrow. Uh, Gav, you going to be tuning to Survivor Series next Saturday for War Games? You got listen, man, don't worry about that. I've got that all set up. Actually, no, wait, next Saturday. I'm gonna do next Saturday. Yeah. Listen, man. I have to watch that, man. CM Punk, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, Logan Paul. Yeah, listen, man, that's gonna be a match. That's gonna be a match, and boy, yeah, I'll be watching that, man. No doubt, no doubt. I think Roman Reigns and that are gonna win though. I think they'll win that. But I'll tell you one thing, yeah. You see this new vision that Paul Heyman's put together of those five. I mean, I don't really know what Logan Paul's doing there personally, man. But you see that four there: Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, and Bron Breakker. I mean, that's crazy. And you know what I tell you as well, yeah. I've got a feeling that I could be wrong. Seth Rollins might, because you know he's out injured at the moment. Don't be surprised if Seth Rollins gets involved in this matchup, yeah, and curb stomps Bron Breakker or someone. Don't be surprised because you've got Seth Rollins' affiliation to both sides. You know, he's had wars with CM Punk. You know, you think of his Shield thing with Roman Reigns. You know, he's had a friendship with Cody Rhodes. Yeah, listen, he's had feuds with Drew McIntyre. Obviously, he had Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker as part of the Vision. It's crazy, man. Don't be surprised, man, if he comes back and does a mazza. Don't be surprised, man. Gav, have you seen the talk about Adeyemi wanting to leave Dortmund now? The United talk has started. Yeah, listen, you see what it is, Fitz, yeah? This Adeyemi to Man United doesn't really make sense, and I'll tell you why, yeah? It makes sense in the way that they're trying to target someone to replace Mbeumo, yeah? But Man United don't play with wide players because Mbeumo plays as a right 10. So that just means you're going to be putting square pegs in round holes because if you bring in Adeyemi is going to play in the same position as Mbeumo. Now, if you're going to bring in someone to cover Mbeumo because he's going African Cup of Nations, what's the main thing Mbeumo's staying out for now for Man United is goals. Go and have a look at Adeyemi's goal record and ask yourself, he's not going to be playing in his position as a wide forward and he doesn't get numbers. So what is the point of going after him? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's big up to WXMF says nowadays everyone only cares about GA. It's lost credibility. Ask someone Hazard or Salah's anyone saying Hazard, but Salah has no more numbers. Yeah, listen, if anyone thinks Mo Salah's better than Eden Hazard, like it usually means they're not well, man, because that's a conversation that I'm just not looking to entertain. Because Mo Salah's nowhere near Eden Hazard, regardless of the numbers. Like you can praise Salah's numbers and say, look, in terms of consistency, the guy puts up numbers apart from this season. But when it comes to a pure footballer, he's nowhere near Eden Hazard. And that's what it's about. You know, this numbers talk is only come about because it's just used in conversations, in arguments, really. But I can't stand this whole numbers talk because go back and have a look at Ronaldinho's numbers, at Zidane's numbers, Iniesta's numbers. Like, have a look at Iniesta's numbers, and then you'll see why numbers makes no difference. Because Iniesta averaged about 6 goals a season, but we didn't care because we knew we were watching one of the best players, best midfielders in the world. You know, one of the best midfielders ever to play the game. So this whole numbers talk, yeah, it's pointless really. Um, yeah, Barcelona won 4-0 against Athletic Bilbao, I think. It's actually crazy that Amarim might outlast Slot. Yeah, listen, man. Boy, I don't know what to say on that one. Is that mean that Liverpool have higher ambitions than Man United? You know, because Slot's won them a title. Amarim's embarrassed us, but yet he's still here, and Slot's under pressure. I don't know, man. I look at that as Liverpool have higher ambitions if they was to sack Slot than Man United, unfortunately, because yeah, I don't know how Amarim's lasted this long personally. You know, it's madness. Bro, you from USA? I'm not, man. I'm from England. Why have I got a USA accent? Or are you just mocking me? Yeah, this whole Adeyemi, it doesn't make any sense, man. He doesn't score goals like that. Yeah, and Man United are not playing in Buemo in their right position. So why would you bring Adeyemi to go and do the same thing? Like if Man United were playing with wide forwards, I'd understand it. But they're playing with tens, and Adeyemi's not a 10. Neither is Mbuemo. And again, Mbuemo's standing up for his goals, and Adeyemi doesn't get goals. So what is the point? It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, listen, Black Mojo, man. Don't worry, man. It's early days. Arsenal not winning nothing, man. Listen. Just relax, man. Just relax. Arsenal are not winning nothing this season. You know, they're doing well, and credit to them. But I will take them seriously, yeah, if they go to Stamford Bridge and beat Chelsea. If they beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, I would say, do you know what? I'm getting a bit worried now. You know, I would say that because Chelsea are second now as well, and you know, another London derby as well. And if they go to Chelsea, go to Stamford Bridge and beat them, I'll be like, you know what, Arsenal. They're gonna take some stopping. You know, even without Gabriel in that defense, you know but they got two tough games. They got Bayern Munich midweek and they got Chelsea. So if they can survive these next two games, because that Tottenham game they was always gonna win that really, you know, because Tottenham are poor. So yeah, man. Gav, what do you think of Gomez in Jan? Honestly, don't see him as up to United standards to me. I'd rather pass and wait for our top targets. You know what? I like. What is that? Angel Gomez, yeah? Yeah, listen, Angel Gomez should never have left Man United in the first place. But Man United are not going to go for Angel Gomez. Like, this manager doesn't like ball players. So, he doesn't like ball players. If Kobe's not playing, then Gomez is definitely not going to play. So, there's no chance Man United go for Angel Gomez. There's no chance of it. You know, I'm not sure where that's come from, but if it was under a different manager, you know, a more progressive manager that wanted to play the right way, then yeah, I could see it. But you can't play Gomez in a two in this league. I don't believe in this shit formation. In a three, yeah, but yeah, Amarim's not going to sign Gomez because Amarim likes runners. Like it's very evident he likes runners. So yeah, it's not going to happen. But the thing is as well, one thing is tomorrow is that because didn't Cunha pick up an injury? Yeah, I think Cunha will play still anyway. Yeah, but I want to see what he does with his selection because I think he's going to play Mount, Cunha, and Embuemo. And if Xerxes doesn't start, it's an absolute disgrace if Xerxes doesn't start. But I'm expecting him not to start. So Yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, listen, Angel Gomez, man, good player. I reckon Bayern beat them badly. I hope so, but who knows, man? Who knows? Oh, João Gomez from Wolves. Yeah, I mean, you know what it is, yeah? Um, João Gomez ain't a bad player, but if you're looking at João Gomez, Elliot Anderson, people are going to say Elliot Anderson. Um, Man United, for me, just need to go and get midfielders that there's no question marks whether they start or not. That's it. And when I look at Baleba, when I look at Anderson, Adam Wharton, for example, they're three players that there's no talk about bench. They're just coming straight into start. You know what I mean? Whereas João Gomez, for me, I don't know, man. I don't know. You would have to believe he would come in and start, but I'm just not too sure. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no. Listen, I think I do think João Gomez is a decent player, and if Wolves get relegated, I expect to see him playing for you know a team in like just probably top six or just below that. Um, but for me, I want Baleba. I want Baleba in that midfield, man. Like Baleba and Anderson for me as a combination will be more than enough. So big up to Lil Woody. Yeah, big up, man. Guys, come on, we got 21 likes. Make sure you're smashing the like button and make sure you're subbing to the channel as well if you're new in here. And guys, share the channel, man. Share the channel as well, most importantly. We're going to go for another 5 minutes and then we're going to wrap it up. And as I said, we are back tomorrow at 5:30. I might be back in the morning. Not sure yet. But as always, man, keep an eye on the schedule, man, on the notifications. And guys, if you have got your notifications on, make sure you check it before you wrap up, because YouTube have changed all the notifications. So a lot of you might have it set to all as naturally, but I believe YouTube have changed it to personalized. So if you give it a check, man, just make sure you yeah. So if you just check it, make sure it's down as all, not as personalized. So João Gomez is just a better Ugarte, but I think we desperately need a deep line playmaker type player. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a better Ugarte because Ugarte is shit. Like, he's just crap, you know. Gomez is decent, but I think Gomez is a kind of signing that if you get your top two targets and then you want to get a third midfielder, I think that's a kind of signing like that, because again, this is a guy that when it comes to the Brazilian national team, he's not going to start for Brazil. So again, if he's not starting for his national team, Man United for me are not in a position where we can afford to go for players that are not really starting for their national team. Yeah, big up Mike, man. Yeah, YouTube been doing the madness. So I think a lot of it is to do with the notifications. So yeah, check your notifications and make sure it's set to all. Because yeah, the algorithm's been mad. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's been crazy. The views just been dropping all of a sudden. But I think everyone's going through the same sort of thing. So yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, but no, listen. Yeah, I think João Gomez is a decent player, but yeah, I think he should be made like a third signing if Man United get their top two targets. Because there's no doubting for me, Man United need two midfielders. Definitely. Definitely two midfielders. Because the current crop of midfielders right now, you take out Casemiro, and obviously there's no point mentioning Kobe because Kobe doesn't play. But take out Casemiro and this midfield's a shambles. It is. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But guys, listen up. We're going to wrap it up anyway. As always, make sure you sub to the channel and make sure you share the channel as well. And again, if you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you do. Obviously, smashing that like button helps the channel to grow. And as I said, man, yeah, it's appreciate you guys coming on, interacting with the channel. Last question. So Fitz says, who do you think faces Cena for his last match? You know what? Yeah, that's weird you said that because I was thinking that. Now, I don't know if you've heard that Sheamus got an injury. I think Sheamus was meant to be fighting. Did he beat Shinsuke Nakamura, or is he meant to be fighting him? But something's happened along the lines where Sheamus has got an injury, and there's a mystery person that is replacing him. I've got a feeling that mystery person is going to be the person that faces John Cena, but I'm not sure who it is. I don't know why. But for his last match, it's going to be someone who we're not thinking of, and it's going to be someone, you know, that he's probably had a past, you know, rivalry with, in my opinion. I don't know, but yeah, I can't really tell you, but I think there's, from what I see last time, I think there's someone that's injured. Sheamus got injured, and I think they're looking for a mystery opponent to face someone else in the quarterfinals. Edge. Okay. Do you know what, Fitz? I think you're right. I think it is Edge. I think it is Edge. Yeah, I think you could be right, man. Do you know what? Yeah, it would make sense that it is Edge. Because remember, Edge went to AEW, and obviously he's rekindled back with Christian, but them guys ain't been on it for a little while lately. But it could be Edge, because remember, John Cena and Edge had a rivalry as well. So yeah, listen, man, that's crazy if it is Edge. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, it could be Edge. It's definitely gonna be someone that's had a rivalry with him in the past, because for his last ever match, it's got to be worth it. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, crazy. But guys, listen up, man. Big up yourselves each and every time. As I said, guys, smash the like button on the way out. Make sure you sub to the channel as well. Make sure you share the channel. And yeah, we're gonna be back tomorrow at 5:30 with myself, Fitz, and Jonas, obviously Liverpool fan. And yeah, we're gonna get into the weekend action of football. Discuss Liverpool's loss to Nottingham Forest. Obviously, United playing tomorrow against Everton. You know, we're going to touch on that as well. So, yeah, make sure you guys come through at 5:30. Obviously, give us your support as always. And most importantly, guys, make sure you're interacting in the channel, man. And, yeah, man, thank God the football's back now. No more international interruptions. And as I said, man, it's going to be a mad season, man. Mad season. As I said, you can see from the points total at this moment in the league. And Arsenal at the moment, they're in pole position. But yeah, listen, man, it's gonna be a rough and tumble season, man. I'm looking forward to it. And then obviously at the end of the season, we got the World Cup. So yeah, plenty of more content to come your way, guys. But as I said, yeah, back tomorrow at 5:30. I might be back tomorrow before that at 12:30. It depends. But yeah, as always, smash the like button, sub to the channel, share the channel, and yeah, I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.